Hi Capricorn, welcome to your April 2020 Life Path reading. It's Raina here. I've done these readings before, not for a while, but I thought this would be a good time to revisit this kind of a reading, which is more philosophical in nature, looking at perhaps some things that have been happening in your life in general, and sometimes it's kind of a crossroads where a person is trying to decide which direction they wish to go in. Not necessarily, not always going to be career, of course it could be. It's funny because the Emperor, when I was first starting to learn about the cards, I found out the Emperor is connected to Aries, and I always connected it to Capricorn, so there you go. This is just a simple 4-card spread. Okay. The where you are right now is represented by the Emperor. The Emperor is a card that is connected to, I would say, positions of authority. Also, this can represent the father, so somebody who is and Capricorn represents the father as well. But some kind of perhaps supervisory position, if this is the workplace, or it can be connected to the military or the police, some kind of authority, keeping law and order, because this is a card about order. Number 4, that connects with foundation and things like that. So you may be in this kind of line of work, or maybe you have that kind of authority. And certainly as a cardinal sign, Capricorns do tend to ascend to positions of, greater responsibility, and you welcome that if that's the field that you are in, that is possible. But here is where you want to be, the 8 of Pentacles. So it seems to me, because this is a card of, this can be like financial wealth. I mean, when I say wealth, you have the 10 of Pentacles can be like a lot of, big time. But this is, very financially successful. But this is a card also of somebody with their craft, perfecting their craft. So it can't, I could see somebody who maybe is doing something where they are, let's say you are a police officer, but what your real dream is to be a carpenter, to do something, earth sign. You want to do something where you get to create things, you get to build. 8 of Pentacles can be any kind of training that you receive, and where you're able to do a good job, and I'm talking about, there's like a tangibility to it as far as I'm concerned with the Pentacles. So that's why I bring up something like carpentry, where you develop this skill and then you can see the results of the fruit of your labor, so to speak. Sometimes when you are doing other types of work, it's harder to get those immediate, that payoff or that feedback from it, because it's kind of like it's abstract, when you're offering a service, for instance, sometimes, and especially if it's a service where it's not the kind of thing where somebody would thank you, it's almost like a thankless type of thing, or people, like going back to this example of somebody who is a police officer. It's almost like a thankless job, because a lot of people have animosity towards them, towards officers or authority figures. So, if you're working in the military or something like that, and you just like evoke it creates a lot of pushback from people. You may say to yourself, I don't really like this type of work. I'd rather do something where I can just pour all my energy into it and then see the results. So any kind of like craftsmanship and or maybe even getting some kind of training so that you can be in a totally different type of work. It could be, you know, in any type of work. But the thing is, it's like maybe if you are like some kind of a supervisor, it's not all it's cracked up to be. You know, that there are, you know, problems in managing people. When I talk about authority, I wasn't just talking about people who are able to enforce laws. I'm talking about anybody who has to tell other people what to do. It can seem like something that is attractive to you because you do have a natural take charge personality, being a cardinal sign, but everything has its downside, and there may be things about it that you don't like that kind of push you off of it. And you just, maybe you say, you know what, I'd rather just work alone, or I'd rather just do something where I'm just concentrating on my own work and I'm not evaluating somebody else's, because that can also produce pushback. So the advice is the Death card, which is letting go of things in your life which are not working out for you, or accepting that you're in the midst of a transition. You are going to have a lunar eclipse in your sign on July 5th. Now this is probably the last eclipse in your sign for this particular cycle of Cancer and Capricorn eclipses. And being that the South Node is still in your sign right now, all of those things that you associate that we would associate with Capricorn, do not fall back on them in a sense of wanting the familiar. Be willing to kind of risk what that means. And also, this, I know this may be really out in left field, but it just occurred to me that if you are a man and you are staying at home with your children, and again, you know, I think I was thinking about this because the South Node is in your sign, and because Cancer because Capricorn rules the area of career, the opposing house or sign is Cancer, which is about the home and family and nurturing and things like that. Well, you may, since this is where the North Node is, you may find that this is kind of what is more how the universe wants it. So maybe there are some males out there who are stay-at-home fathers, and they are kind of feeling like, you know, with the Eight of Pentacles, no, I want to be at work. That's where you feel more comfortable. And being at home and taking care of your children, there may be some reason why. Perhaps your partner has a job that she has remained employed, and you are the one who is being asked to take care of the children. And I'm not talking about anything that's happening, you know, in this period of time when a lot of people are at home. I'm talking about even before this, that this may have happened. And, you know, sometimes the woman is the one who is bringing home the bacon, you know, and you may feel like this is not comfortable for you, that you would rather be like the Eight of Pentacles. You feel more like productive. You feel more like you can see that's kind of like where I was going with when I was talking about, police officers. I could have talked about parents. A lot of times parents don't get a lot of kudos from their children or from society, because that's just how it is. You have kids, you take care of them. But so that feedback or that feeling of appreciation may not be as easy to get, and then it feels unfulfilling. But the truth is that if this is meant to be, the death card is saying accept the transition, because transition doesn't mean everything, comes to a grinding halt. It just means that there's like this weird period of time between where you have been and where you want to be. And you can't cling to the past. And the death card, the reason that the death card represents this is because there's some change that is irrevocable, that you cannot control. And so using physical death as that symbolism makes a lot of sense, because that's one of the main reasons I think people are so scared about death, physical death, is because it's final. I mean, you can't cheat it, and you can't stop it from happening. So it's the one thing you can't control. Making peace with those things that are out of your control is very important, especially when, in that period of time. I would even extend it a month before the eclipse, so starting in June and going several months afterwards, even towards, the last half, I would say the last half of this year. Capricorn, be willing to accept any kind of things. If a door closes, don't think that you have lost anything. Understand that you have gained so much, you just don't see it yet. The outcome, the potential outcome, is the Ace of Swords, and this is to gain clarity. This is a year, I mean, let's face it, a lot of psychics, astrologers, tarot card readers, whatever you want to say, never saw this coming when we've had a shutdown of society like this. And yet, 2020 is full of lunar eclipses. Eclipses in general, so that will tend to indicate a lot of change. And certainly, I think a lot of astrologers could see that 2020 was going to be a year of change. But in terms of shutdowns, and Venus and Mars are both retrograding this year in their personal planets. But the retrogrades, we didn't have this shutdown until after Mercury went direct. Interestingly, Mercury was in Pisces, but it was still in its shadow when the retrograde began. And guess what other planet is transiting through Pisces? Neptune. And now, based on many things that I have personally been thinking about lately, I'm kind of looking forward to Neptune exiting Pisces, because I'm beginning to think that it's creating this bizarro world in a lot of ways. There's a lot of, truth and fiction being mixed in very strange ways, and you don't know, what is real and what is a half-truth, what is a total lie. So, in any case, the Ace of Swords is about cutting through the illusion. And you are going to have an eclipse this summer. Now, maybe that will bring all of these things into clarity, because that's a very powerful full moon, and full moons can bring downloads, realizations, and definitely with the lunar eclipse, these can be like even heightened, but certainly coming whether you like it or not. And so I think that there's something really freeing about that, because it's human nature to be indecisive and to be timid when it comes to making changes, especially changes of a more dramatic nature. So embrace it, because you're going to be able to start anew, Capricorn, and you're going to be, with the Ace of Swords, you're going to be going into this new phase of life with your head on straight, and having, like, knowing where you're going, not just fumbling in the dark. It's so important. So anyway, I hope that you receive something from this, and I do astrological versions of this, looking at your natal chart. That's always interesting, because that can really, to me, it's not show so much as validate what a lot of people are going through. I just had somebody who emailed me after I did the reading and said, I mentioned a particular profession, and that's exactly what they're going for. And they're in a job that they don't like. So it's not to say you're going to hit it big overnight. It's not anything to create fantasy. It's about looking at it from a pragmatic point of view, but also inspirational. You can check out my offerings at rainandmoonastrology.com. The link is below. Take care. Bye.